Today, it's our first freaking episode. Super excited. Yes.
I know, right?
Roman Rozell, he's a true legend. He actually got struck by lightning and survived.
It was cool when I came back because when I showed up and everyone saw me, they're like, what? You're back. They're like, oh man. One guy was like, hey, in the Bible it says God talks to those through, thunder and lightning.
You're never going to grow if you're not uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So if you're uncomfortable, that's where growth really happens. You're either growing or dying. What's going on, my people? Welcome to It's Not Dead Because It Isn't Dead. I'm your host, Jonathan Clavijo. And today, it's our first freaking episode. Super excited. Yes.
I know, right?
Yes. We have a real treat here. Roman Rozell. He's a true legend, guys. That's why we want to kick it off with you, man. Super excited to have you here. This guy, this guy is a true legend. We were just talking about it before this, before the pod. But basically, not only he's actually been in the military, which, by the way, thank you for your service. He's was Special Forces, Green Beret. Mm-hmm. He actually was a part of the wrestling team at ASU as well. Yep. And with all of these things, during his time in the military, he actually got struck by lightning and survived. Mm-hmm. This is ridiculous, guys. This is, again, a true legend. Thank you for being here, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course.
I do want to know something, though. This is awesome, by the way. And it's not dead. And I've been around that a lot. And It means a lot to me. Yeah. Where'd you guys come up with the idea, if you don't mind me asking?
Yes,
or the name?
Yes. Thank you. So it's a movement that we're starting. And in all honesty, for me, a lot of people think that the American dream, it's dead.
Right.
A lot of people are just coming in and trying to tell us to conform, right? And telling us, hey, you know what? You cannot buy a house anymore, or you cannot have a car. You cannot have a nice family anymore. You shouldn't believe in God. All these things, they're saying, hey, it's that, right? But this is me saying, basically coming in here and telling people, hey, it isn't that. It's well and alive,
No, I like that.
You're living proof of it.
Absolutely.
You come from humble beginnings. I come from Ecuador. My first job was handing out flyers,
Yeah.
So really humble beginnings, the two of us, and we're self-made.
Absolutely.
And we're, again, living proof that the American dream is well and alive. So
yeah,
yes,
definitely.
Yes. So with that, I also, in all honesty, part of the reason why I want to do this is because I want to get to know people like you, man, in all honesty. And it's just kind of a selfish reasons for me. I don't really need this, to make ends meet.
No, but it's fun.
Yes, but it's fun, right? It's fun. So that's the other reason why we're starting this movement. And then obviously, we were talking about it's just giving back to kids or people in the community, here in Arizona and in the world, really in the country, that may need to hear the message, that not only the American dream, but what's behind the American dream is grit, hustle, discipline, hard work, dedication. You were talking about transformation. So there's a lot of different things that we're going to go into, obviously, but that is the movement. That's what we're trying to do here, man.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah. So anyway, man, I want to start with, the military, man. How do you go about, because I shouldn't say anybody, because obviously it is a tough, job to be in the military, but even tougher, right? To become Special Forces. So how do you go about that?
Well, growing up, my life was tough. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't no walk in the park by any means. And man, I've had a lot of hills and valleys as a kid, and just the same thing. It's not dead. Just coming from a place where it's all right, I don't have the social economic status as all these other people, but I'm is it possible I can, do something or be great or be a pro wrestler or be something, whatever?
One thing for you guys, if you're not from Arizona, especially from Phoenix, he grew up in AJ. We call it Apache Junction. And this is a low income area, guys. Probably right, like Ecuador. I mean, I don't know, maybe, close to, you're right. So
it has a rep.
Exactly.
Sure.
So that's something for you guys to keep in mind. It's when he's talking about humble beginnings, guys, it really is humble beginnings. Go ahead.
Yeah. And just being from AJ, I guess sometimes you don't know how you have it or how bad you have it until you kind of get outside of that.
Correct.
So you be an AJ and then you go to Gilbert Chandler or whatever. You're like, oh my God.
Yes. For sure.
These houses aren't made out of tin, stuff like that. Or people match.
Yes.
Stuff like that.
Yes.
But I came from a broken home. A lot of drugs were involved. Anytime rent was due, we moved. Abuse was in the picture, and it was just rough. But I always still, would cling on to the idea that I was going to be like a superstar in some way, shape or form. Cause I just had a natural ability to, I don't know, be good in school, be good at sports, just survive in situations and
adaptable.
Very, very adaptable, especially when you're seeing things as a 7-year-old you shouldn't see, but you're like kind of controlling chaos as if I would do at this age. So
correct.
But I link a lot of that also to my spirituality. Like I don't know anything outside of being a Jesus freak or whatever.
Yeah.
And especially in those areas.
Me too.
And even though I had that rough upbringing, it was like Sundays, my grandma would come take me to church. And then Wednesdays or Thursdays, we'd have what we called Awana. It's like a little club, a scripture memory verse. Yeah. And it was good to get me out of whatever place I was at.
Yes.
And they would have it would be creepy now to like have a bus or a van come around and just pick up kids in trailer parks or neighborhoods. But that's what would happen. So I'd go there and I'd get to have like refreshments, eat, learn about stuff. So, and then when you're reading, you're just like, man, like suffering, they had it worse, than what I had, like, in scripture. Then it also taught me that even in my situations, there's other people that have it worse than you.
Yeah. 100%.
And so I just had that type of mentality, young. So coupled with wanting to be like Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, Diamond Dallas Page, or movie stars. Yeah. That was me. That was my escape. Like if we had TV, not necessarily cable, but could rent a movie, I'd want to be like them because there was a story where he's an underdog and he fights back up and and then at the same time everyone's cheering for him and it's like that. I'm like, oh, I love that. And it just pumped me up and inspired me. So, and then just characters in movies too, like Rudy, or The Program. Like, so when I play football, I'm like, I'm gonna be the freaking star. I was just always overly confident, but not for. I mean, obviously, I was a short, fat, pudgy kid or anything like that. It was just a warrior mentality that I had when I was younger, and it was also probably a coping mechanism for protection and 100%. All of that other stuff. But it really allowed me to stand out and kind of pave a way for me to do well in school, mess up and still fix things. I got, even having kids, drug problem, I was still able to get a scholarship out of AJ. I became the first male Rozell not only to graduate high school. Wow. Yeah. But, go to college. Yes. With kids. Yes. Yeah. And then so that was already hard in itself, just being a young dad, with a couple kids, one on the way. So I ended up quitting school and joined the military, something I didn't want to do because of just the sacrifice and all that comes along with it. Yeah, well, we're just talking about it. Yeah. But Pat Tillman, who went to ASU, played for the Cardinals, became an Army Ranger right after 9/11. Mm-hmm. And he gave up millions of dollars to go serve, and not only just serve at like any capacity, but he humbled himself and became like an enlisted member instead of going in as an officer. Can I say something about him real quick? And everybody that's in Arizona, you guys know, you go to any Texas Roadhouse and he's there. His picture is there. Oh, I love Texas Roadhouse. Yes. Any Texas Roadhouse in the state of Arizona, you see his picture right there, man. Man. Yeah. And so I thought about like where I was at in my life at that point too. I'm like, I didn't want to join the military because I was like, I just need a couple more years to get my degree, or I still had aspirations because I did music. Mm-hmm. I did Christian rock, hip hop style. So I still had like that I was going to be this Christian rock superstar. Yeah. And let alone join the military and give all that up. And it was just like, oh, what am I doing? I got to take care of things now. He gave up millions of dollars. Yes. And to serve, I was like, what have I done? Yes. And so I adapted that type of warrior thing because what I saw as success was money.
Yep.
And if he gave up money, because I grew up poor, so I'm like, you need money to get out of things, to do whatever.
Yes.
That's why I always strive to be an entertainer, a wrestler. I'm like, the money's there for celebrities.
Yes.
And
so that's the driver.
It was a skewed driver.
Correct.
Yeah,
but it was kind of like in your mind as a kid, right?
Yeah, because I don't know how I'm going to get out of here. I'm like, I don't have a good, not necessarily family name, but we don't own a business.
Correct.
I moved from house to house. I'm like, the only thing I could get out is
there's no rich uncle that's going to go save you.
unless I get discovered or something or make it on my own. So that's where I had that hustle.
That's right. Little
mini entrepreneur at that age. So when money really came to a thing and I saw a person throw away money, it changed it. It's like, oh man, this is success is really, just freedom to have your family, 100%. Love people and have and still have the dream of like moving forward. Like there's no other option.
Yeah.
And so that's how I went into the military, knowing like, man, I'm going right to war, but who better than me? Yeah. No one's going to train better than me. And I'm going to do that. And that was in the regular army. And then after that, I kind of survived a lot of crazy stuff. I had 8 traumatic brain injuries. I had to get a waiver to go to the special forces.
Because of those injuries.
Yeah. I had a lot of deployment time already under my belt, but I was able to function and operate, at a high level during those deployments. They were just super long, but I was good at it because I took it serious. It was like, like nobody's here right now to watch me what I'm doing, but I'm going to make sure like I'm pulling my sector of security, like as if it's real time and somebody's watching me. So I just always took it to that extreme.
Got it.
And so I felt like, man, I need to be with other people who are just as extreme and take this.
Correct.
If I'm going to make this a career, because if I got out, I'm like, what am I going to do? I don't have a degree.
Yep.
I have, I think 5 kids at the time, 4 kids. Or maybe 3, a lot of kids.
During your time in the military?
Yeah.
Okay. So how long were you there for? Like before you became a Green Beret?
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So actually I had 4 kids.
Okay.
And I just knew it was time to change. And I had to be with, the elite. I didn't really think of myself as being at their level. I was like, I can just fast track in the regular army and still like be a, stand out.
Yep.
But I'm like, well, who likes playing backup, to, Snoop Dogg or whatever, I was like, I am that.
Yep.
And then, man, I put in the work and got selected. And then from there, I was just like, okay, like now it's a different world of what I thought.
So how do you go about getting selected? So obviously you apply and then
it's volunteer. You have to have certain requirements, test scores and physical, whatever, but they don't tell you. Selection's 21 days.
Got it.
28, but 21, like full 3 weeks of hell.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of like what the SEALs call the hell. Oh, no, that's not. Hell week is after you're selected, right?
For the buds, I'm not too sure with them.
I think so, yeah. I think it's after you're selected. So this is before you're selected. It's like 21 days.
Yeah. So that's like, so I'm just like training, not knowing what to do other than trying to make everything that I'm doing harder.
Correct. Yeah.
If I have to ruck march, I'm going to put, 100 pounds in my bag.
Yep.
Instead of like 30 or 50, because I don't know what they're going to make me do there. So I'm just training at the highest things. There's a lot of stuff once I went there.
So you were just pushing yourself to the limits. Like you were just
even know.
You were just going to that.
And I wanted to quit even during the training. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. This is like terrible. Getting the logs and messing around with that because I didn't know what to expect. And then I got there and I'm like, I didn't train any way that I should have trained. So when I went back from selection after I got selected, I started training people for selection. Because I was like, look, I want your success. We're going to work on grip strength. We're going to do this. I'm going to push you hard. It was just, but it's only because it's just a secret. Like by the time you get there, what is hard is not going to be hard. Oh, it's going to be harder with me type deal.
Yes.
But I did everything with them. So where it wasn't like I wasn't doing anything that I wouldn't, or they weren't doing anything that I wouldn't do either.
Yeah. And, just translating that into sales, basically, anybody in sales or business, right? It's like all the time you got to be role playing. You got to be sharpening that tool because anything that you're doing here, with your boss or your leader is nothing compared to what you're going to be facing in the field. you know?
Oh, absolutely.
And a lot of people don't understand that, you know?
Right.
And the truth is, you know, how you practice is how you're going to be performing.
Yeah, you train
know?
as you fight.
Exactly.
And everything.
Train as you fight, 100%.
And so I was able to do that just based off of like training as I fought as a kid.
Correct.
Like, hey, I don't want to get jumped here. I got to go down this street, or we're not eating. We're like doing this, or I didn't get to eat for a day. Little things like that.
So let me tell you this, man. Like the other day, I was just like talking to my sister, and between the two of us, you know, we were just like kind of like arguing about that we were racing the streets, you know?
Yeah.
And she was like, we were not racing the streets, you know? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I get that all the time.
And in my head, it's like, you know, now, like you said, once you get out of that life and you see back, it's like hindsight 2020, you're like, well, yeah, maybe I wasn't homeless, but I was, in a sense, in the street. Like
the poverty. There was it was adverse poverty right there.
Yeah, so I learned a lot of things. Like you said, hey, that guy, no, I'm not gonna go down that street, or I'm not gonna do this, or I'm not gonna talk to these people. You know what I mean? Or I'm gonna be friends with them.
Yeah, you just learn how to be a chameleon in certain things. You're like, because I don't want to get jumped, or I'm white. Like, oh god, you know? How do I hang out with these guys? And then in the like, you blend in better with everyone else except your own ethnicity. You know what I mean?
And that's the biggest.
Because it's just culture down there. Like race wasn't even really that big of a deal. It was just like, this is how we all live. We're all equally poor.
Correct.
Against the other people who aren't.
With that, man, tell me, so you go into that part of like basically the selection piece of it.
Go to selection. I go back, get out of my unit, and then I go to what is called the Special Forces Qualification Course. And that's anywhere between 1 to 2 years, longer than that for some. Okay. And it's like, it's gated events. It's in phases. So you got like your language phase, you get assigned a language. Yep. You get like your special, you know, assignment, like if you're MOS. Yep. Which like is your job.
This guy speaks Spanish very well. We were speaking Spanish right before this. So
so that was awesome too. And I was glad I got Spanish because I was like, oh man, I can't wait to go. Because I always wanted to come back to Arizona. Yes. Yeah. And I was like, I can't wait to go back. And
big Spanish population. Yes.
Yeah. Nobody can, you know, ever talk shit again. But now you get here, nobody speaks Spanish. You're like, man, you're Hispanic. Like,
that's right.
Like, so I offend them, but like, hey, hola, you know, like start going into,
¿Cómo estás?
Yeah. But, and then getting into like to speaking like a native. And they're just like, are you trying to offend me? And I'm like, no, I just thought you speak and I don't get to practice a lot. So I got excited.
So you learn how to like actually speak it as a native.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. Just, and the biggest, because my vocab and everything.
Accents, you know, different things.
Yeah. And idiomatic phrases, you know, like,
correct.
Because they'll be like, tengo miedo. And then it's like, me da miedo, like, you know, switching it up, you know, little things like that.
If you're from northern Mexico or if you're from, you know, Guatemala or Argentina or whatever. Yes. Got it.
Yeah. Especially using like the word coger.
That's right.
Like being in Colombia, it was like, that's how we like get taxis or Ubers.
Yeah, that's right.
Coger un taxi and then go somewhere else and like.
That's just to grab a taxi. Yes.
Yeah. And then you say, hey, like, oh,
but in Mexico,
I use that. Hey, coger sus amigos. And they're like, what? I'm like, no, let's go pick them up. Like we're grabbing them. We're grabbing them to go with us. Yeah. Learning those dynamics too. I'm like, man, how is it so different?
Yeah, between each little something else in Mexico. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But that was cool. And learning Spanish.
Coger in Mexico just means like having intercourse. Yeah. That's what it means in Mexico.
Another thing, because I went to like a college in Colombia to mejorar mi español, to better it, to speak more at a diplomatic level. Yes. And so I went there, but I also learned how to speak better.
More white collar.
Yeah. But I actually got to learn more colloquial Spanish down there. Yes. For the most part, because I was immersed in it. So I just lived it. Yep. So nobody else could speak English. So it was forced to like learn all the phrases to where I pretty much thought I was a native there. Because the cool thing about being in Colombia, there was no race or whatever, racism. Yep. It was like, oh, you like this? Here, wear this, you know, satchel. Yeah. Yep. It's made from, you know, the beard of a goat.
Yes.
Here's this. Wear this shirt. Like I was just like, man, what the hell?
Hats that they have over there. Yeah.
You don't know how to speak this way? Like speak. And they would just like tell me, hey, let's go to these, football, soccer games.
Very friendly people.
And I was just like, this is so weird, to where I'm like, I come back like hey, where's my bandeja paisa? Like just trying to eat. Like
there you go.
And it was so different because I know like out here, it was tough for me being a white kid, even just blending with other white kids. I'm like, here I'm in another country, and I don't know the Spanish thing, just like trying to bring me in and make me a part of their community. They saw like the heart. So then I became more in love with just that culture anyways. Yeah.
And one thing I want to say on that, man, it's like a lot of the elite, I think anywhere, but mainly here, we're experiencing that here in America right now, which they want to divide us,
Yeah.
And they want to, label you and label me, so that we think that we're way different, when in reality, we're human beings. We're the same thing,
Exactly.
And with that, it's like the old saying, divide and conquer, right?
Yeah,
so that they can conquer, they want to divide us.
I know. And that's what sucks by serving and then coming or being in this country right now. At least I recognized it from like 2019 on up, 2018. I was just like, what happened to this country that, I served and loved, and represented?
100%. I got here about 15 years ago, and it's totally different. And that's why I was like, I gotta bring my message to everybody.
No, I really like that. Yeah.
I want to bring my message to everybody because we definitely want to keep those values, which has made America great. But going back to, you were talking about going into Colombia and all these different places, right? Mm-hmm. Where a lot of the times it's all about fear, right? It's all about fear.
Yeah.
So they have instilled this in kids or people, here in America, that hey, if you leave the States, you're going to get killed. Something's going to happen to you for sure. And nothing, there's no free countries anywhere else. And you see the people that travel, they get addicted to it because they get to see, hey, everything that I've heard. Yeah, it wasn't true. You know what I mean? What do you have to say about that, man?
Well, I take it down even a step below that, like how like I raised my kids compared to how I was raised.
Yes.
Like, I was free to go drive or ride my bike or do whatever, come in whenever I wanted. Well, because I didn't have a parent to manage that. But for me, I'm like, well, they can just go to the street and back. And it's like, no, I got to go outside and watch.
Yeah.
Like be more like a helicopter parent.
Correct.
But really, like it kind of handicaps them a lot. It's always like doing everything or like, here, let me open this pop can for you or bottle. I'm like, damn, 10 years old. Like,
yes.
And doing things like that. So out of fear that something's going to happen, and really like, no, they're going to be perfectly fine.
Totally fine.
And
they're going to learn, And then
so like, I've been taking steps like that with myself. Like if I go to Walmart or something, like, hey, you guys go to the toy section, give them like a little combo plan. Like, you have your phone on you, you stay together. I'm going to be back here. Don't come look for me. I'm going to come right here. If not, this is the link up point. So I'm trying to teach them safe traveling things because I'm starting off there. Like it's going to be hard for me, even though they're like in middle school. Like when middle school, I was doing drugs and slinging, you know? But for them, it's just like, they're looking at Barbies and they're way below their age. And I'm like, dang, that's going to suck. Cause with other kids are pretty hard. You know what I mean? Like 100%. A lot of the seventh graders that are in my other seventh graders classes, you think they're in college. How they talk. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, what am I doing? So then I think about how that type of fear that I have for parents to like coddle and control. It's mainly that. I think about that at the higher level, in our country. Like that's what they're doing. They're instilling like little basic fears and then controlling and kind of keeping you, I don't know, like localized to
blind,
And I'm like, dang, I'm like, so as much as I see and hate like what they're doing to us, I'm like, I kind of do that to, and that's where the future generation's coming from. These people that have never gotten a fight or never been in fear outside of being yelled at from their parents,
Correct.
But not going to someone's house and be like, oh shit, I might get jumped here. Or I said the wrong word.
And a lot of the fear really comes to like, you're going to another country. Let's say this is Mexico or Argentina or whatever, where you don't really speak the language. Number one, that's a fear, right? It's like, okay, I cannot get by because I don't speak the language. So number one, but okay, the other side to that, it's like you were talking about, people over there are super friendly. So even if they don't speak English either, you're going to get by.
Yeah, you totally will.
For sure you're going to get by, right? You're going to have an amazing time. So that's number two, what like actually traveling is going to do for anybody that's from the States. It's going to humble you. It's going to basically be like, whoa, hold on. I have it amazing over there.
Yes, big time. Yeah.
I have it great. I have it good.
Oh, God.
You know what I mean? So you're going to come back and you're going to hustle because you're going to be like, oh, okay, I'm really wasting my life here.
Yes, no, absolutely.
So
especially seeing what's going on. I saw this funny meme. It had like ancient Rome with all the pillars and stuff.
Yes.
And it had like an African hut and it said Africa 1 hour ago.
Yeah.
It said, Rome like this. And I'm like, shit. I'm like, that's actually current what's going on. And I can remember being in Iraq, Afghanistan, Kuwait and all that stuff and just seeing how they live. I'm like, oh, and then going to Central South America. Yep. Worse. Yep. And then coming here, I'm like, oh my God, like, no, like we have value menus and so like life is so much better than what everyone thinks.
Way better. And like I feel like a lot of people, anybody hearing this, I would tell you guys, definitely travel. That's going to humble you. It's going to actually open up that, innovation in your brain.
It really does.
That you're going to get after bigger things.
Especially if you're, an entrepreneur or anything like that. Then 100%. You can see like different audience. They're like, oh, this is a different demographic I didn't know existed because I only know what I see online, Yes. And this is actually here. Like I'm in, I don't know, let's say like Georgia, but it's not Atlanta. And there's nothing but country. Yes. On the outside, you're like, whoa, that's like night and day.
It's a different world.
Yeah, but if you didn't go there, you would think it's two different states.
100%.
And just, I don't know how people are there compared to here.
It's definitely traveling in general, right?
Yeah,
you should travel for sure.
And getting over those fear and anxieties, going through all the things that you have to prep, like, do I have gas? Do I have money? Do I do this? What happens? Like, those are good survival mechanisms of like, what happens if I have a flat tire and I'm here? Where am I going to call?
Yeah, like, there's no insurance over there.
Yeah, it challenges you to think, outside of just like the easy push button and stuff,
There's no DoorDash.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. So we definitely have it good here. And it's just really good to be reminded of that, every time. So for example, like I started in my business, I started knocking doors. That's what I did. I was telling you about that before this. And every so often, at least once once a month, once every 2 months, I get out there and knock doors. Just because I want to remember what it is. I want to see what my guys, at the, basically, quote unquote, at the lowest level, what they're feeling, what's going on, what's happening in the market, like talking about audiences. Yeah. And that's something that I do, just because, again, I don't want to be disconnected. Right.
No, I like that.
And like you're talking about the fears and it's just uncomfortable, right?
You got to watch what you say, everything,
Exactly. And at the end of the day, you're never going to grow if you're not uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So if you're uncomfortable, that's where growth really happens. So, and people don't, like sometimes we don't understand that. And we get to a point where we're already, making 6 figures maybe. And we're like, okay, we're good. But,
No. There's always room for improvement. Exactly. But it starts with what you said. Like when I look back at my life, I was able to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes.
And because of that, I was able to adapt in any situation. Because I already knew, like, when we said, like, train as you fight, like, I already knew it sucked, felt like. So I'm like, I can put up with this for another 20 minutes or go even longer or whatever. And 100%. Then or get ideas like he did that. I'm like, I can probably put 2 fishing lines together and do this and do the same thing without having that, but have the same result. Like you just start challenging yourself to think outside the box.
Yes. So let's go into, so as when you were a Green Beret or before you got struck by lightning?
I was actually in training for that. So I was in the Q course.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a crazy story as far as what was going on behind the scenes.
Okay.
So it's in each phase. This was small unit tactics phase, just like our little version of Ranger School type. And like I said, it's a flow. If you get out of your little cohort, you're going to get recycled back in, and it's going to take you a long time to get into another phase of training. Or in a lot of times you get washed out.
Got it.
So I had been waiting forever to finally get to this point of training.
Got it.
At this time, though, my wife at the time had contracted thyroid cancer. And she also got pregnant again. And
so a lot going on.
Yeah. Well, so she had her tubes tied originally. And then that year we reversed them because she wanted more kids. You know, the other ones were getting like 5. They're all in school now. And she's like, I want more kids. So we got them reversed, and there were some complications, and her tubes we weren't sure if she was going to be able to get pregnant again.
Got it.
Even after that. But she was able to.
Yep.
And then while she was happy about that, she got thyroid cancer. So we couldn't do any like chemo treatments or radiation or anything like that because of
the baby.
Well, right before training, like let's say I'm leaving in October 1st. This is like mid-September. Like she has and these dates aren't correct, but just for time frame reference, like she has an ectopic, so like miscarriage. And then she's like, oh, like it was pretty tragic for all of us.
Wow.
And they had to remove that tube. Now she only has one. She's like, now I'm not going to get pregnant because the other one, you know, is so small. They said I was barely going to have it. Yeah. So that messed her up mentally. But then it was like, hey, this is a blessing in disguise. Now we can get your thyroid removed or whatever. But then it's like, oh, hey, your training's come up at the same time she can get this surgery done. Yeah. What do you do? And I'm like, oh, man, like if I don't go to training, I'm going to get set back another, 3 or 4 months. By then I might not be in the shape. There's a lot of stuff that... Yeah. Because it's like feed from a fire hose and just go. Yeah. But I had a really good church family there. And we had her mother, her family come in. And we kind of like talked. It's like, hey, if I go out to training, something happens, they'll bring me in. I was like, but otherwise I'll just be sitting by you. And I know that I probably should just for my presence. But at the end of the day, like that's all I'd be doing when I can just go knock this out really quick. Yeah. You're going to be fine when we get out. That's one more step closer for us to get to where I was going to be stationed at Florida, become a Green Beret. Yep. And yeah, she was about that. Like, she wanted that too. And so, yeah, I go to training, but it's like, man, how selfish am I? Like, I'm going to do this training. I really should just be there as a rock man. by my wife.
But here's the deal, we as men, and that's something that, again, it's not dead, right? We have to make tough decisions, for the better of the family, right?
True.
So the way, I guarantee you, the way you were thinking at that point, it's like, hey, if I don't do this, my new baby and I have other kids, like there's a lot going on, you know? So it's like, I need to make this step and then take that, basically take one for the team.
Yeah, the leap of faith. And it sucks. Because, and she knew that too, like, hey, like the special forces, like financially, it's a lot better. Yeah. You make more money, we get more opportunities. I'll get more time with you. It's just better family. Yep. At least it's what we were always told, and the people that we knew, they loved it. Yep. And so we knew like what we were working towards, but it had to like, these little phases. Yep. So I go out to training.
Step by step, man. Cannot. That's the thing. We all want to jump the steps. So we cannot do it.
I know. There's
always a process.
There is.
Go ahead.
I go to the training, and the first 2 weeks are where they kind of weed you out. Yep. They do land nav, marksmanship, all this stuff to where, hey, nope, you didn't pass. Like go until like you can make it smaller for that training. Yep. Well, the one thing that they have, or at least for when I went, was what they call the STAR course. And it's land nav against some arduous terrain. Just fucking sucks. And they had that at selection. So I'm like, I'm never going to have to do that again. Since I got selected, we go there and it's like, oh, we got to do the land nav at this course. Yeah. And it's a star point. So like each point, like can be anywhere between 6 to 12 miles away, if I remember correctly. And you cover, all this ground in 24 hours trying to get all your points. Yeah. When I went to selection, I didn't pass the first time. I had to do it again the next night. You get 24 hours to get your points. Got it. If you don't make it, then the next day you have another chance to get it. Yep. So it was just like, whew, I really thought I kind of squeaked by last time. And then this, I'm like, man, I'm actually in the course. If I don't pass this, like I'm gone. Yep. And so then I'm worried about that. But then I really wasn't, because it's like, I know the basics and I know how to get to point. The big part was like, why did I leave my wife back in, the hospital? Yep. Because that same day I was out doing the land nav, that's when she was getting her thyroid removed, that surgery. So simultaneously at the same time. So anyways, I get all my points that night. We go to kind of called bivouac, where we just all kind of camp out. We're like in a centralized area waiting for the sun to come up or whatever to launch the following day. For the people that didn't get their points, they get another opportunity.
Yep.
But it's raining. It's crazy. The only thing we do to kind of keep out of the rain was just put a little poncho liner just from one tree to another, and you just still like lay in a puddle and just be miserable.
Yep.
Like morale sucks.
Yep.
And and this whole time I'm like wrestling with God. I'm like, hey, did I make this right decision? Like, can you show me a sign that like I'm doing the right thing or whatever? And I had a buddy who was I won't say his name, but he was out there with his beliefs and stuff like that.
Yep.
And so I knew like, hey, if I talk to him, maybe I can like ignite some type of spiritual dialogue between us. So then I could at least feel like God's talking to me.
Yep.
I'd be like, hey, whatever your name is, what do you think about Jesus? And he's like, oh, he's a son of God. And I'm like, oh, usually he'd be like, say something different, Mesopotamia, this and that. So I was trying to get a rise out of him, and I was like, oh, no, man, don't agree with me. Like, I'm like, I was like, maybe that's my sign. Yeah. And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, you know what? If I just go back to the regular army, I'll still have a pretty good career. I can still work towards my degree while I'm in. I started kind of feeling sorry for myself, holding myself back and trying to find like an alternative to not
to the suck.
And to not chase what I really wanted, because that's I'm like, I'm conflicted, and I'm like, all right, God, that's my answer. I'm like, I'm laying in a big puddle of water like this, and I'm like, I can't go to sleep. But when I sleep and I wake up in the morning, I'm in a voluntary withdrawal. I'm going to go say like, hey, my wife's in the hospital. I need to go be with her type deal. And then I'll just go back to the regular army, whatever. And then, next thing you know, I hear the loudest, when I say like the loudest boom, I think of like the VBID, the vehicle bombs, and explosions from Iraq and Afghanistan. So I know I'm in America, like I'm dead sleep. So I know I'm kind of safe. But when I wake up to this loud boom, like it's like my muscle memories like react to contact or like what's going on. Yeah. And as soon as like my eyes open to the loudest boom I've heard, it's bright white because like lightning and everything had just like lit up the whole campground. But I know it's still dark, raining and everything. And I can't move, like I'm being electrocuted. Wow. So I'm just like really fast. I'm like, and then I wake up in the ambulance. Wow. They hit me with the EpiPens, getting everything. I had like the swelling in my throat, took me to the hospital. And then I'm like, oh God, Survived. And this is like, they had to keep me overnight, and they were going to ship me off to a hospital that following morning for the heart. Mm-hmm. And while I'm laying there, I finally come to like, what's going on? I'm like, oh man, I'm like, shit, I got hit by lightning, because that's what everyone was saying. They're like, you're hit. And everybody that was in a close proximity to you was electrocuted too. Yeah. Like, you were just the base of where it hit. Like the tree you were under is no longer there. Like it was just that, or like half of it. Yeah. Wow. And there's a lot of people that are still around today that were in that training stuff too, to validate the story. But I was talking with God the whole time. And then when I'm in the hospital, I'm like, or the little med shed, whatever I was at with the PA, I was like, all right, I guess they're going to come in the morning to take me to the hospital, just because my heart wasn't still functioning properly. The EKGs weren't good. Yep. And I was like, man, I don't know why I was feeling sorry for myself out there. I was like, I do want to be a Green Beret. I was like, God, man, I'm like, why did I do this? Like, I shouldn't have like, I don't know, put you on the spot or made an ultimatum. I should have just fucking driven through. And then I was like, I wish I can just, be healed. Yeah. And sure shit, that following morning, like I was healed. My EKG was good. My throat was a little blistered, but I felt like rejuvenated too.
So you pray for a sign, you got the sign, and then you're praying to, once you got the sign to get better.
I should have went back, and I got better. And then I had the doc, when he came in the following day, he was just like, holy crap. He's like, you're actually back to normal. He's like, I can't even explain it. And I was like, well, I prayed about it.
It's a miracle.
And he was like, well, I don't believe in that stuff. He goes, but I haven't seen this type of,
recovery. Yeah.
This like this. And I was like, so I felt great. And I was like, so does that mean I can go back to training? And he's like, technically, yeah. He goes, it's going to be up to the cadre when they come. Because they're coming to take me. Correct. And ship me off or take me to the hospital originally. Yeah. So they come in there and he's like, all right, where's he at? And then like I moved around. I'm like, hey, can I go back? I got all my points. So I was already good with land nav. So I passed it. Yeah. And he was just like just in shock too. Yeah. And he, another guy, won't put his name out there, but he was just like, yeah, I was like, this actually makes it easier. You you can go back to training. He goes, the guys, we had to take everyone's weapons. Yeah. Cause we were doing the land nav, like train as you fight, so we still had like a rifle. Yeah. It was a rubber duck, would call them. But he said they had to take all of them because they're like conductors of the lightning. Lightning was so bad. So they just had to like throw them all in a pile and like go find another spot until the next day to go recover the weapons. And he was like, damn, he goes, I can't believe you survived that. And I was like, well, so now I'm back in the course. I was like, with all that craziness that's happening.
What do you say to this? You said, sure, I'm back. Like he told you, I'll take you back. Yeah, let's go.
And so I was like, yes. And I was like, my wife is, she's recovering from surgery last night. Mm-hmm. I was like, they take our phone. We don't have phones. Yeah. I'm like, hey, do you think I can probably give her a call just to check and see if she made it through surgery or anything like that?
Just to check in.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be on guard duty anyways, watching all those weapons that they threw out so that they can, I was like, so I don't have anything to do. I'm like, there's nobody around. Like, we're both adults. Like, think about this. And he was like, no. And I was like, automatically, like, then I'm about to say, fuck this. I don't even want to be here. Yeah. But he stopped me real quick. He was like, no. He goes, cause you'll quit. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, you get on the phone with mama and you're going to start feeling sorry for her again and you're gonna go back. He goes, but look what you just survived, man. He's like let's go. He goes, we're assessing like who we want on our team in the future. Yeah. And what's funny is that we end up not being teammates, but he was still a superior, but where I was in Florida. So when he was done with his instructor time, he was there. Yeah. So it was cool. It's just like, okay, like that's what the assessment selection is. You're always being assessed, but it's not necessarily like if you're like the standout player, it's just like, is this guy how much can he take? Like this is the type of people we're looking for. So that sparked something in me to where like it wasn't dead yet. I'm like, oh, this dream's still alive and I'm still alive.
I love it, man. It's so fascinating, man. I'm literally getting goosebumps. It's so fascinating. Also, guys, like, let me just tell you, this guy had the ultimate excuse to quit. Okay. He literally got struck by lightning. He did not freaking quit. Okay. So kudos to you, bro. That's amazing. Keep going.
It was cool when I came back because when I showed up and everyone saw me, they're like, what? You're back. They're like, oh man. They're like, they started telling the stories about how bad it got when I left and they couldn't believe they were looking at my throat to see like how red and stuff it was inside. Yes. They're like, oh. And one guy was like, hey, in the Bible, it says God talks to those through, thunder and lightning. And I was like, yeah. And, so it became a cool little thing once everybody that passed and we had to do our little 8 weeks after or 6 weeks after the 2 weeks, we all made our own little flag for the team or a little guidon is what we call it. It looks like a little pennant, you know? Yep. And we drew it and we put like a big lightning bolt on there. Yeah. So it was cool. I got to be part of the class of, what happened. And that was such a memorable thing. Like,
what better than the lightning, man?
Yeah. And just the fact that even happened and that I could even talk about it. Cause it's like, even talking about it's kind of weird to.
Well, I was actually, as I was preparing for the show, I was actually reading what are the odds of somebody being hit by lightning. And it's 1 in 15,000 over your lifetime. So you're very lucky.
Yeah, no, 100%. With everything that I've done, it was like that. I had those close calls in combat a lot of the times too. Like I was always just like, is there a bubble around me? Because to be honest, like our deployments were so long that I used to try to put myself in situations where like, if I like, I'm like, we have good enough technology to where if I lose a limb or something, at least I can get the fuck out of here, go be with my family. Cause it was like daily. There's no weekends. It's just like, you're always mission, blown up, fight, you know, and then you don't get to talk to your family for a lot. So you just go insane, you know, especially a 15-month appointment.
100%.
So I was like, and next thing you know, it's like boom, boom, boom. Guys are losing legs or whatever. And then I'm like, what the fuck? You know, just like, you know, concussion or knocked out, like my head. Fine. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, oh, damn it. I'm still here.
Yes.
like, and it's sad to say, but that was just like what was going through my head. I'm like, I can't, there's nothing I could do to get out of the war zone.
Yeah.
And, some would be like, man, he's just like, he's crazy or he's brave. And it's like, no, dude, I just want to be with my family. Like I'm human.
Yeah.
I know I'm good at this, but I was like, I would put myself and do things extraordinary to kind of get injured just so I would leave. Yeah. And then I wouldn't. And it was just like, all right, well, then I adopted that as like, I am fucking invincible. You know what I mean? But that's how it started.
Ironside.
So then even with the lightning thing, I was like, of course this would happen to me. Yes. Like, but I'm glad. And then what's funny, the follow up to that is when I did get home from passing that phase of training, my wife who was in recovery. Yep. And scared that we wouldn't have a kid. That's how we ended up she got pregnant with the twins. So I'm like, we didn't have any like in vitro or anything like that. Yeah. So the odds of us having a kid were slim. Yeah. But I think maybe God like touches like, here's how I'll intervene. I'm going to touch you and you're going to have super sperm now. Yes. And we got the twins. Super I don't know. It's just a funny part of that story.
That's awesome.
But so we ended up having the kids.
That's what the lightning gave you, man.
That's what I'm saying. So like maybe that's what had to happen. Like, and now I got my twins.
Yes, that's funny, man. So I want to talk about the suck, right? That's what you called it, and it's true.
Embrace the suck.
Yes. So what would you tell people, man, as far as like the suck, man? Because whether you were like in the training or actually, you know, doing a tour, every day was bombs here, you know. Obviously you were raiding something. You were like literally in combat, right? You could have died. Obviously something could have happened to your limbs. So you're actually in the battle. Like that's again, the ultimate suck, right? Yeah. What helped you embrace that? Like get through it basically, you know?
Kind of like I said earlier, I was like, it's better me than someone else, and I'm going to be here regardless. Gotcha. So how am I going to use my time? Well, I'm going to hit the gym and get jacked. Yep. When I'm on my guard shift, I'm really going to make sure no one gets through these lines. They do, you know, like I'm taking it to, that's all I can do. You know what I mean? Like, all right, there's no out. So I'm like, I can sit here, and I've had those moments where it's just like, oh, guard duty sucks. It's the things you even if you're not in combat, like the crazy stuff is only like for like 15, 20 minutes, hour. Correct. The rest is like, hey, we're doing maintenance on vehicles. We're doing this. We don't get to talk, you know, we're just like silent time. Like that was hell. Yeah. Yeah. So to get through that was just kind of like leaning on other people who were in the suck with you. Yes. And then also kind of be like, well, he made it, then I can make it another day too. So you're always looking at like, what are we doing?
Proximity. Yeah. It's huge.
And so, and because of that, you're able to like dig a little deeper and be like, oh man, because then someone that you didn't think would survive or keep going, he's going and thriving. You're like, oh man, like, I'm better than that guy. Yeah, like if he can do this, like, why am I? And then that changes things, and you kind of break out of your comfort zone. Yes. And grow a little bit, and you're like, and then sky's the limit.
Just keep going. Mm-hmm. Just keep going. I love it. So I know that you're a big, huge advocate when it comes to like PTSD. And obviously, you know, in the military, it's not all about the suck that happens when you're there, but then obviously the PTSD afterwards, right? Yeah. So what would you say about that, man? Like I know you're a huge advocate, you know, you talk about that a lot. Tell me about that, man. Like, do you think that we as men, we try to avoid it or try to, you know, not really take care of our mental health?
It's the label, maybe. Mm-hmm. It's the label and really not knowing what PTSD is or just any label, to be honest.
What does it even mean? I say, what does it stand for?
Post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay. And, but I had that as a kid, you know, I already had it. And so right off the bat, Hollywood puts it like it's just veterans and they have hallucinations and they see shit.
Yeah.
And so for me having it, I'm like, I never have any hallucinations or see shit, but I'm like panicky or like, you know, something happened. And I'm like, those are symptoms of PTSD. So it was more than just like seeing, you know, you ever watch Up in Smoke from Cheech and Chong?
Yeah.
Do you remember like that old Vietnam vet when he starts hearing stuff? He's like, Charlie in the trees. So like that's what Hollywood depicts it. So like that was what I was like.
It's almost like a crazy person, right?
Yeah, and he was like he's living in the moment. He's seeing things. Like I've had some nightmares sometimes that were like that, but it was also because I was drunk as fuck too. And that kind of played into it, but like sober and just living life, like I've never had like a, oh shit, there's, you know, I'm seeing this or seeing that. Maybe like some things in my head, but not to the degree where it's like I'm tripping on acid. So I never got treatment for it during the military. I knew I had the brain injury, so I was just like, well, the symptoms are the same, but I was like, I know I don't have PTSD because I know what I signed up for. I was trained to do this. I was trained to be exposed to this. But that doesn't mean anything because the brain's the brain and you're still human.
100%.
So I didn't even, so when I first got help in 2016 for PTSD, it wasn't because I was seeking for it. I just knew my life was unmanageable. I wasn't on substances or anything. It was just like, I feel like something's
not in a good place.
Something's not right. Like I don't feel normal. Like I know I had the brain injuries, but it's getting out of control. Like it'll just be foggy and whatever. Or I'll walk. I just get scared to do stuff. And I'm like, you know, that's not me. And then I look at these pamphlets like, you need to go away for a little bit and get some treatment. I'm like, I can just talk to a counselor. They're like, no, that's not what this is. I was like, I'm not going to get on meds. I'm not going to go because they're going to take away my family, weapons, anything like that. And they're like, no, your chain of command like goes to this too. It's just like a reset, like a recharge. They're like, what do you expect? Like cops, firemen, we all do this stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm thinking I'm going into a padded room. You know, and locked. Or like, you remember, what is it? Happy Gilmore. Where he drops his grandma off and takes off and then it's like, and then it's like that. So I'm thinking, man, that's what's going to happen to me. I'm like, fuck that. Like, I'll just deal with it on my own. Like, you know, I'm a Green Beret. Like if I can make it this far and be in charge of so many people and do stuff, I can take care of this. And I was like, well, let me look at one of these things. And I was like, I don't have PTSD, but maybe they can help me with something else. And it said like, I looked on one page and it had like 17 symptoms. It was like nightmares, panic attacks, anxiety, you know, outbursts of rage, anger, stuff. I'm like, yeah, minus like 3 of the things on there, I had them all. And I was like, I don't have PTSD, but I have this. And they're like, well, look at the page before. And it said symptoms of PTSD. And I was like, oh shit. And I was like, this is what PTSD is. And then when I went and learned, it's like, then they went to the science of it. They're like, well, here's the, you know, the amygdala, the fight or flight response. Here's the hippocampus where you put everything in there. When something happens, everything gets fragmented and not into where it's little, you know, drawer. So because of that, you can smell something just at, you know, Fry's or Safeway and it'd be like,
you'll bring that
and you'd be like, but you don't even know a memory's going
that's
there. But the brain is just like starting to like, and you're like, they're like, whoa, why is this adrenaline coming on? So little stuff like that. Why am I palm sweaty? When I drive past a place where I lived, it's like where I lived. I'm like, ooh, don't go down that path. I'm like, little things. Like, So the brain, until like you get it processed to put it back in there, basically like kind of desensitizing yourself to it.
For sure.
That's really what I learned about PTSD. And I'm like, this is so different than what I thought it was. I was like, I could have fixed myself 10 years ago. Or maybe not fix myself, but learned how to kind of manage that.
And that's the thing.
My poor family.
Like you said, you know, talking about Hollywood or maybe, you know, society in general, you know, we put these labels in there, you know. And then at that point, you don't want to go down that path because you're like, I'm not going to be the crazy guy, right?
No,
And that's the part where like, you know, I listen to all the time to Jordan Peterson, and he talks about these basically it's kind of like therapy, right? That we all need therapy, and basically that you need to write things down, right? Let's say you are not comfortable with, you know, venting, right, with your spouse or maybe with your friend or somebody that you don't have that space, right? Which you should if you don't, right? But let's say you don't, because he was talking about this actually, that a lot of people don't, right? write it down. Like, just like let it out and write it down. He was saying that there was an actual study that the people that wrote it down against the people that didn't write it down were happier, like after this study, right?
Oh, right.
Happier. They were performing way better at their jobs. And it was just amazing what the study found. So we don't know. You're talking about, like, this is science, you know, it's not something that we're just talking about this. This is real science, because our body is full of, you know, chemistry and physics
absolutely.
and all these things, right?
Yeah.
We can take advantage of, you know, and there are people that went to school, or maybe they've seen it through experience that these things work, right?
Right. And that's actually, that's how I wrote my mental health workbook.
Yes.
So I self-published one in 2019 based off of like worksheets that I created for myself, because it used to just be like a legal pad, me writing something down, but also like, how am I challenging this thought that I have? And then I just kind of figured out how to do that. And I used to do that with my kids when they would have issues. I'm like, all right, let's get out the old journal, like not just journal your feelings, like, hey, what's the issue? Write it down. Okay. Is this fact or habitual? You know, like, let's get that. How does this make you feel? And we process that. And in the end, be like, oh yeah, it really wasn't as bad as I thought. It's like, cool. And we kind of had done that, and I'd been doing that for myself. So I'd got the idea to write this book about pretty much how to get shit done, called A Dose of Inspiration. Okay. And it was more or less like, hey, I did a vision board. I said I was going to be a Green Beret. I did it. I said I was going to be on Team USA. And I was, you know, wrestling. Like, I had all these reminders. I had these posters. I had this, and I just put it into a book. Yeah. And I've been through so much therapy anyways, that I created my own worksheets, you know, on how to get shit done, and also talk about every thought triggers, you know, a feeling, and every feeling like is what creates that behavior, that action. Because it's different, like coming from a therapist that has never been in Afghanistan or something. Absolutely, like that, than you that actually you went through that and actually got better, right? Yep. And seek for help. So those are the things that obviously somebody that's going through that, not only they need therapy from the experts, I guess. Right. Yeah. It's no supplement for that. But obviously you coming in and telling them, hey, there is a better place. You know? And I said supplement, but no substitute for therapy. Correct. This is a supplement. Like, it's definitely a supplement. Every, you know, what are you doing daily? Because it's a daily battle, because you're not guaranteed tomorrow. So I can see, like, sometimes I don't do proper worksheets or anything that I used to do, like in my own book. Yep. And I use it a lot. Like I noticed that by me not doing that, I robbed myself from feeling a lot better a lot sooner. It's like, oh, I already kind of know it. I wrote this book, so I know what to do, but I'm not doing it. But it's different when you put pen to paper and focus to see it. And that's what I did. 100%. And then again, I didn't have the resources, but I was resourceful. So I published that whole book out of PowerPoint. I didn't have Photoshop or whatever. I made little designs. I did it, wrote it all out, and then got it published. And that was 2019. But now I'm with a publishing company I'm doing a second edition. Okay. Because a lot's happened since then. And I've become I went back to school. Yep. I've learned a lot more, and I've been able to accomplish a lot more. Yep. And it was just like, man, these are just like the ingredients, how to get shit done, but not also just like chase after your dreams. I'm able to sell those books and do everything because I'm saying, like, hey, you know, if I have a dream, it's not dead. Like, and I'm going to show you how I get that shit done. And it's like mind, body, spirit here. Yes. And this new book is a part of that, because I did feel like it was all dead. You know, for 2 years, I let myself go. So talk to me about that. I mean, you were doing all these things. You know how to get jacked. You know how to do things. You know how to be disciplined. You know all these things, right? Yep. Why do you think you let yourself go? Well, right when I hadn't even graduated yet from ASU, but I had those documentaries. They did really well. They got Emmys, and I was like, I got invited to the WWE training camp and got to do some stuff with them. Yep. And then, boom, you're divorced. And I'm like, what? With all the kids I have after being married for so long? Yep. But I had so much momentum going. It's like, fine. Like, you know, I know my value. Yep. So therefore, like, I'm ignoring really trying to process what's going on. Yep. I'm just in survival, because I'm like, oh yeah, this is no different than any other shit storm I've gone through. It's just adversity. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but there was more to that I probably should have like addressed or learned how to process. Yeah. But I just got with Grunt Style. So, you were like, just plugging away. That's I'm like, cool. I'm like, I'm going to be with Grunt Style. I'm going to be the new David Goggins. Yep. I'm going to be a pro wrestler. I'm going to be just like Diamond Dallas Page. Yep. And sure as shit, all that stuff happened.
Yeah.
So I knew how to get shit done. So like, and because that success was coming and I was fast tracking, you know, being on TV, doing things, meeting my boyhood heroes.
Yeah.
And then also becoming, being trained by Diamond Dallas Page. So this guy who I sought out to be like,
wow.
It's funny because when I met him, I was like, hey, dude, look at your Instagram from 2019. I said I was going to be like you. And here it is, 2021. Like we're together and doing some stuff. So I was like, man. But because I stayed so fast paced and success, I wasn't taking care of myself. Meaning like I wasn't doing my worksheets. I became like the mental health advocate, but without really diving inside. So it was all ego based, ego driven. Right. Yeah. And then I was still heartbroken, even, you know, 2 or something years later after divorce. And I'm like, why does it still bother me? Like, what it sucked because, you know, you go from being a full-time dad to just a single. And I'm like, I wanted to be with my kids like every day of my life. I didn't care what happened. I was still just going to be like, I'll suck this up because I love just being able to see them every day. Yeah. And then when that kind of hit me, I'm like, dude, you just been living like a Hollywood lifestyle the last year and a half or two. And you made all your dreams come true, but you're still like not satisfied. Yes. And I was like, I need to be by my kids because like that's more of a drug I need. Yep. And then I was like, I'm going to go back to school and become a therapist and go get my master's. Yeah. So I could fix these problems. Yeah. So then I'm still avoiding trying to fix myself. I'm just like, I'm going to figure out how to fix everyone else. That's right. And learn all the tools because I already knew it. I wrote a book about it. And then I come back and I haven't got no physicals, anything. I'm not working out the way I did. I became an alcoholic, just toxic life. I'm on wrong medication, misdiagnosed. Yep. And so I just kind of give up. Wow. And I kind of like isolate for almost 2 years. In 18 months, I put on close to 100 pounds. So like the guy that you saw, like it was just like overnight. Wow. And that's one thing I'll say, guys, is for everybody listening, I love it when people say, oh yeah, you know, slow and steady, or I'm gonna stay there, you know, whatever. But you're never staying there. You're either growing or dying. You know what I mean? That comfort killed me. 100%. It killed me. Yes. Like 18 months, you said? 18 months. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And I learned that a lot of it was the chemistry of the body because my thyroid went out and I could have got that fixed within the 2 years of just knowing, but I had just avoided a doctor. Yeah. And I just accepted not being a jack dude or just being a foodie. I was going to like, hey, I'm just going to have a food truck and make food videos. That's such a good cop out. I'm a foodie. I did. Well, I started making some cool food videos. And I'm 200 pounds overweight. I'm a foodie. And I'm like, look, let me show you how to make a chimichanga out of nothing. Yeah. You know, but I called it white trash food. WTF. Okay. How did it go? White Thunder. Oh, really good. Really? Yeah. You still have it? Yeah, it's still on my social media and stuff. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, there's actually another dude. He owns a chingazo company, and he was like, we're gonna do a shirt called Gringazo. He goes, because we exchanged some recipes, and he was like, yeah. And I was like, cool, man. I was like, see, this is culture. Like, this is pretty cool. Like, so I was still doing cool shit even when I was at a low. Yeah, for sure. But again, that was you know. But at the end of the day, you would not perform at your peak level. No, if you were not all of those sets. Mind, spirit, you know, all those things that you were mentioning. I was just wasting away, but I was doing good, I guess, in a way of being stable. I had my kids that live 5 minutes from me, so I see them all the time and whatever, but I'm still miserable. I'm alone, you know, I'm lonely. Yeah. And I'm just getting big, and I finally looked at me, I'm like, holy crap. And then I go get help. Yeah. At a place that I, you know, hustled some books to when I was first on the circuit in 2019, but I had this packet of this treatment center in Bandera, Texas, from another Green Beret that was in the same group as me, but he was also Delta Force. Yep. And I was like, well, I'm going to treat this like a deployment. I'm going to go there, lose a bunch of weight, get jacked, just get out of my environment and, you know, whatever. Yep. I don't know really what led me other than, hey, I'm just going to go do this. Yep. I owe it to myself. And because I was a therapist too. I was working as a therapist. So obviously I'm not winning at life. You know, I could fix other people's problems, but you know, why do I look like this? Yeah. And I go there, and that's where we get the blood tests and stuff. Like my test level was like a 6-year-old's, like my thyroid was out. And once we got on the medication for that, like my brain cleared up.
Yeah.
And plus, you know, sober anyways. So
Yeah.
I'm just like thinking like, fuck. And then it all comes back to me. I'm looking at my workbook that I did publish and I'm like,
Yeah.
did I write this? I was like, cause I'm like, I could have been using this the whole time, you know? So it was like I had it. So then I just kind of restructured and started writing new things that I had used along the way to get shit done. And then I realized I'm like, hey, it's not dead. Like it wasn't even an idea to write a new book, but I was like, these are new things that I'm eventually going to write a new book. And then I'm going to transfer my body. I'm going to get back into whatever it is. And then who knows, like, am I going to go pro wrestling again? Am I going to work with, you know, Diamond Dallas Page again? Are we going to do more things with Grunt Style? All this other stuff was just an idea. It wasn't an idea. It's just, I had disappeared for 2 years, like mentally. So it's like I woke out of a slumber and I'm like, wait, I'm not that guy anymore. Like I'm used to doing all this shit. And I was like, okay, well, how do I get back there?
Yeah.
But with this new version of me.
Yep.
And that's how it started. And next thing you know, like I get a book deal so that it really came true. And I had nothing to think of. Like, so it wasn't dead. Like here I was like 270 something pounds. I'm like, with an idea, I'm like, well, let's see what happens in 9 months. And here 9 months later, it's like, yeah, we get, you know, proof in the pudding, like truth in action. Like, you know, it wasn't just an idea. You lived it and you're still living it. So I did that, working with Dallas again, Warriors Purpose Foundation, paying it forward, just helping people change their lifestyles, rebuild their lives while I'm still doing mine.
I love it.
It's like everything came back to me. Like once I got sober, aligned, healthy, boom, it all came back. Like the people that left really never left. That just came back in alignment. I came back to them. Yeah. And now we're getting to show like the transformation of what you thought or were seeing. Like now we're back and it shows like beauty, forgiveness, and also to show that literally it's not dead. Cause like 9 months ago, if you told me I'd have a book, starring in a film, working with Dallas, the Warriors Purpose Foundation.
Can you talk about that film a little bit?
Yeah, it's called The Beast of Trinity, Texas.
Okay.
It's like a sci-fi horror, like, you know, a Bigfoot Sasquatch.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got a little small part in that.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, but it's just, these things just came out of nowhere. Like, it's just weird. Like, once I realized that my life wasn't dead and over, it was just like, hey, like, all I know what to do is to not give up, not hustle, like that's not an option to me. So I wasn't happy because my dad was like, he goes, you finally just got away from all that spotlight stuff. How are you back in it now? I'm like, I don't know, but I'm like,
it's calling you. You're good at it, man.
Like it chooses you. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's tough.
And the cool things are opportunities. Like, why would I turn down a book deal? Why would I turn down a movie role? Why would I'm like, you know, I'm retired. Like, and now I can provide this stuff and I'm helping people. You know, I was driving hours just to help 2 people at the American Legion or whatever. Like, these are the things behind the scenes that nobody sees, but
because you couldn't do that if you didn't have resources, you know, i.e. money, right? You have to have that. You have to have that freedom to be able to help, you know, at the end of the day. And especially being in a spot to where people can look that you fuck your life up and then get back on the course and become super and not be immune to it. It's inspiring.
It is. And it's inspiring that I am at this point now. Because again, January, the weight that I am now is what I hope to be January of 2025, let alone the successes. The successes I thought would take years, but it all sped up really fast. But then I realized, well, that success just came along because I was just happy with where I was at and what I was doing.
100%.
So just doing the hustle was success enough. When it came to fruition, it was like, all right, cool. This is only just means I can do the other shit faster now. Because I'm looking at 5 years down the road, what I'm doing. So these I have vision, not sight. Sight's in front of you, but I like, okay, the vision's the long road.
Vision, correct.
Here's the hustle right here. Here's the grind. Here's this. Do this, and this is going to allow you to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And also at the same time, this is good for your health also. And that's kind of where I'm at now.
I love it, man.
Yeah, man.
I love it. That's amazing. So I wanted to get into a quick topic, which is, you know, do you think, and this is just a question for you, do you think that to win in life, to be successful, do you have to wake up like at 4 a.m, you know, go around 3 miles and hit the gym, maybe, you know, and then take a shower cold plunge, right? While you're listening to a podcast, you know, of self-help or a book, right? Is that all necessary? What's your take on that, man? I have my opinions, obviously, but what's your take on that?
No, I do too. Like, it's not cookie cutter like they kind of make it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you got to make it work for you. I think a lot of those things are very like need to do because
they're good. Yeah.
Like on my way here, it's like I'm listening to inspirational, like motivational, like maybe it's David Goggins or Tony Robbins while I'm driving. So I'm using my time.
Yeah, correct.
Because I don't got time in the afternoon to sit there and watch it, or nor do I have the attention span at that moment.
Yep.
And can I get up at this time to go to the gym or whatever? Well, I got to be here and here first. I'm like, but I can squeeze this in afterwards. So I just like, so just because someone wakes up at 6 and does everything, I can still accomplish that like at another time of the day because I'm still sacrificing time.
Correct.
So in their eyes, like, well, you're not getting up at 4 to do this. So it's like, well, you're not staying up till 10 to do this. You're you're going to bed early. You're waking up early. So it's just a bit of time. But that's what my book's all about. Yeah. The workbook. It's
is it?
It's about warrior to do checklist, you know, how to do it, you know, vision, discipline, persevere, you know, dream, all that stuff. And it's showing you like how to do it like at your capacity, at your time. Cause I wrote it for just the regular guys. Yes. I said, this is a self-help workbook for all the people that grew up like how I grew up or anything like that. Not the Kardashians that had money at their disposal or just people that can reinvent themselves. You know, it's like, how can you do this now while working a full-time job to survive? How can you still get shit done or take yourself out of that while still having a family too and dealing with divorce and, you know, but I know that was off topic from what you said, but I think I think you can still do all those things just in different parts and maybe not even at any capacity. Cause some people work out for an hour and burn X, Y, Z or whatever. But I bet you I can probably do more than that in 30 minutes.
It depends on your body. Yeah, that's right. Your body type.
Like, or cause you're taking more breaks. You're talking. I'm like, let's slow it down.
That's right.
I'm like, let's just do this. Like less talk. Like, let's do this.
Maximizing your time.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I learned things like that. And, this is how I was able to walk on the wrestling team. Yeah. I just kind of knew they're like, can you live this? Cause you're, 30 and these are like 20-year-olds. Yeah. Cause the max age is 25 anyways. Yep. But because I was in the military, it froze my eligibility. So on paper, I was 19.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't just the oldest at that university. It was in the country ever.
Wow.
Yeah. But in my head, I was like, if I do this, it means I'm the new Rudy and I hold a record. You know what I mean? So it was like super incentive to like wake up at 4 to be there. I practice at 7:30, go to school, be a dad. It was just little shit like that. Yeah. But I did that by listening to motivational things on the way. Yeah. I still ate the way that I ate, like in chimichangas and other food. But I mean,
you were working out a lot.
Yeah, it was like so I was able to do certain things based off of what I was doing. I was smart in that. But it was just mindset. Yeah. Mindset.
100%. And, like, obviously we're not saying don't embrace the suck, right? Yeah. You're definitely going to have to do all those things. 100%.
Yes.
The problem that I have, and it's the same thing that you're saying, is like that we have to do a cookie cutter like that.
The way that everybody looks. Like right now, I don't look at what I looked like 2 years ago in the videos where I'm saying, get shit done. So I think it was good for me to go through this because I had to learn through a different lens on like how to rebuild myself because I used to push people like in DDP yoga. Yeah. Just do it. But then I got to a point I'm like, man, I can't even do my own workouts. I got to create modifications. So now like rebuilding, I'm like, man, I'm more understanding and empathetic because I'm coming from a different, I don't look the same, but he's still there. But I can look it because I could change that. It's not permanent. This isn't permanent. Correct. You know what I mean? Like I was like, I can make changes. I can lose weight. I can, muscle build. But the main thing is like, do I love myself right now? Yeah. I was like, because when I did look jacked, I thought I looked 300 pounds there. Yeah. And so I didn't. Once I got to a point where I'm at right now, it's where I'm like, dude, I can totally just coast looking not like this, but because I'm not satisfied. Yeah. But always like, I'm always like, just, man, this is really good. I'm happy with everything. Yeah. That's what's changed a lot. Being happy with yourself.
I have this friend in my church that he's 57, but you wouldn't think so. He looks more like 45 or 42 probably. He's a dentist, runs like a few successful businesses, and he looks jacked, And I said, man, like, you're 57, dude. Like, what is the secret? And he said, my secret is, man, every 6 months, I change it up. I do F45, you know, for 6 months. Then I do a different kind of gym the next 6 months.
Right, yeah.
Because he says, if I do the same exact thing, exactly the same, I'm going to break. And I'm going to
burnout. You're going to get burnout.
It's a burnout. Exactly. So you got to change it out. We're talking about being flexible, right? And not cookie cutter. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that I think, you know, some people get wrong and think, oh, I'm never going to be running, you know, 5 miles. Like when I started, I'm a big runner. When I started running, like I started with not even 1 mile, half a mile. That's what I started doing, you know, 45 pounds before, right?
Yeah.
So I lost all the weight and everything. Now I'm doing, you know, in a easy morning for me, it's nothing. Like this morning I did 5 miles and that's nothing for me, you know?
Yeah.
But again, you start somewhere.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
Correct.
Even I didn't have this in my workbook that I always wanted because I dealt with like giving myself credit.
Yeah.
Because I used to lift the gym.
Yeah.
Then it was hard for me just to get to the gym. So I made a worksheet like to myself. I'm like, hey, at least you went to the gym. The next time I went in there,
Exactly.
It was like, I did 20 minutes on the elliptical, but I didn't lift weights. But I was like, dude, at least give yourself fucking credit that you were there. So I was cultivating a new thing. The next thing you know, to where like all that's effortless now.
Yeah.
I'm back to where I'm like, man, today's off if I'm not doing something or and not just because of the physique part, it's good for the mental health part, like get the blood flowing and all that other stuff. But I had to give myself credit because I wasn't where I was at, where even though my mind was like, I'm ready to go run 8 miles. Yeah. And then I go and I break my foot. I broke my 5th metatarsal because I started putting on the weights and the weight vest. Yeah. And even though I could do it and suffer through it, my body was like, whoa, like not at this capacity, brother. Correct. And then so I had to dial it back down. I'm like, oh, dude, there is no fast. You can't skip ahead. Like you have to go in this phase. Like
there's a process.
Slow it down. And I'm like, okay. And wow. It just sucks. I'm like, man, I already knew I could do 4 miles. I just did it with this. And then it's like, yeah, but your body can't, and go with it. And next thing you know, you're like, man, that was actually the smarter way to do things.
Yes, 100%, 100%. So, man, real pleasure having you here, man. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody that's tuning in, listening, thank you so much for watching the show. This is our first of many, you know. And if you don't mind, you just sharing your IG handle.
Roman Rozell. Roman Rozell.
Okay. How do you spell that?
RomanRozell.
Perfect. Please go follow this guy. If you don't know him, you should. Obviously, you know, if you listen to this amazing podcast, guys, it's all about that grit. Okay. Please just understand flexibility, but more than anything, consistency, I believe, you know.
Yeah, that's being pleasantly persistent.
Exactly. That's what's going to take you places. So before we go, I want to start this tradition. I'm going to ask you this question is, if you could be an animal, what animal would you be?
Tiger.
Yes. Why?
Well, a couple things. It's funny, when I was younger, I loved like the gorillas and tigers. Mm-hmm. The gorillas because the Phoenix Suns gorilla. Yes. The tigers because they were cool. So I did have those like little figurines at one point in time in my life. Now that I'm in karate and I'm an orange belt, like that's the tiger. That's the tiger part. So when you said like what type of animal right now, I'm like, I'm a tiger because, you know, it acts out of it's aggressive based off of fear. Yes. But it's still... It could fly solo. It doesn't have to be in packs. Like it's very like knows how to get shit done. Like it's very, you know,
it hunts, you know.
Yeah, it's everything. You know, it's like an ultimate predator and like just beast of an animal.
I love it, man.
So
it's amazing.
Embracing that now. Yeah, I'm like, that is me.
Here's a real tiger here at It's Not Dead. We try to keep it legendary, and that's what we did today, guys. So just before we go, I want you to just your wrestling voice or wrestler voice say, "It's not dead."
It's not dead.
Let's go, guys.
GST, baby.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.